by building in the process of adjusting out.
How about the Muslim countries?
But I said that the advanced societies. And
You consider some Muslim countries advanced?
I mean economically and technically advanced. And the only Muslim country that falls within the 30, but at the bottom in terms of income levels and at the top in terms of religion levels is Turkey. This is the generally, I'm using the general categorizations of the advanced and wealthy societies. Now, the interesting point, if you study those societies, is that the United States and Ireland are the most religious. And leaving Ireland out aside for a moment, if you study the United States compared with all of Northern Europe, what might account for United States of America's greater religiosity? Well, there are historical reasons, there are all sorts of other, there are traditional reasons, but there's one very interesting fact about the societies that have let go of religion the most. Those are societies characterized by a high degree of economic security and a high degree of equality. The United States, the most religious, is also the most unequal of the advanced societies and the most insecure in terms of a number of factors, including health insurance, including unemployment benefits, including a whole series of factors which the United Nations evaluates. And the point of this is that, and this is the argument of a book that I quote in my book, the book is called Sacredly Secular. The point of it is that people tend to abandon religion as their lives become more secure, as their societies become more equal, and you would say in general, I think, more universally livable. Now, that's an important fact because even in the United States, another interesting fact is if you were to talk about who's more and who's less religious, it's the same. The people who are better off are much less religious than the people who are worse off. So there is a correlation here, and sociologists, as you might guess, are arguing over this and arguing over the deeper reasons why. I won't go deeply into that. But that's one of the dimensions. One of the dimensions of people letting go of religion has something to do with living better. Now, let me look at a couple of the other questions, and I hope by the end of the evening all of them will be tackled and we'll have some others to talk about as well. I want to go back to the very first question, why only us? Why in this huge city? Why is even in Canada, in which there are far more non-believers than in the United States, why do there seem to be so relatively few? And it has something to do with the question you asked about reasons, finding reasons for our existence that lie outside religion. Or let me put it slightly differently. As Scottish sociologist Steve Bruce, sociologist of religion, points out, in the countries that have a high degree of unbelief, and he's specifically writing about the UK, but he might be writing about Netherlands, he might be writing about Czechoslovakia, he might be writing about Germany, he might be writing about Scandinavia, in countries that have a high degree of unbelief. People do not seem to have replaced the religion with anything else. And what I mean is their abandonment of religion is accompanied by a kind of passivity about what they do believe. rather than an active searching, or rather than a finding of a coherent worldview. I set out to write Living Without God because it seemed to me that we, secularists, we can use any set of terms, but I like that one simply because it's sort of the least likely to get you into an argument with other secularists, that I set out writing my book because I felt that we had lost some bearings over the past generation. That's an interesting fact. Lost bearings with the four horsemen of the great atheist writers. Yes, lost bearings, because while some people have become very effective at arguing against religious belief, the question, what now, is a much more difficult one to ask and a much more difficult one to answer. For those who abandon religious belief, the question of what you put in its place is a fundamental question. We all know that because, I'm talking to a group of people who have been involved in this process of thinking and asking, what do we believe? What do we know? What can we know? Letting go of religion seems to demand another step of asking, what is the world picture that we hold on to? And you don't want to abandon religion and embrace another religion in its place, which part of what I say in the first chapter of the book is, in effect, that's what generations of people did when they let go of religion and started believing. Yes, of course, they believed in education, they believed in social change, they believed in science, they believed in reason. But that belief tended to be accompanied by another belief. The belief in progress, that if we did all of these things, what was going to happen? The world was going to get better. Through the 19th and the 20th century, look up at two of them, Bertrand Russell and Robert Ingersoll, two of the giants who live by that faith that with reason, with education, with sometimes connecting with it, with democracy, with a more scientific world, the world was going to get better. And letting go of God, letting go of religion, was going to be leading to something much better. And out the front door, this is the way the postmodernists would talk about it. Postmodernists would say, so what they did was push religion out the front door and had a substitute faith that they let in the back door, that all of this activity and energy in abandoning religion, in religious disbelief, and taking up a scientific worldview, in education, in democracy, yes, sometimes in socialism, all of this was going to make the world a better place. Well, one of the things that didn't happen, as the postmodernists like to point out, is by the end of the 20th century, the world, I shouldn't say didn't happen, I should say one thing that did happen is the world became chaotic and destructive in new and different ways that had something to do with the progress. Something to do with the progress in that the tools and techniques of the progress and the economies of progress, that the world of progress somehow ushered in new modes of killing, new forms of destruction, new forms of irrationality. And the world didn't get better, or if it got better in certain respects. We've all done this kind of calculation. It got better in certain respects, but it got worse in other respects. And on balance, how do you sort it out? Well, the main thing that happened, I'd like to say, is that the belief that as we became more secular, as we became less religious, this brave new world of great wonders, Ingersoll himself used to talk about the angel of progress. It's a very revealing